Hello and welcome back. Now let us create our gig service file and we're going to add some methods. So in the services, gig.service.ts. Okay. Now the first method we want to add, remember that we are only going to be getting from Elasticsearch. We are not going to get from MongoDB. Okay. So we are only going to get the data we need from Elasticsearch. And here the first method we want to add is the get gig by ID. Okay, so async, and then here I'll call add gig ID of type string, and then this is going to return a promise of type iSeller gig. Okay, right here. So this method will just get the data from Elasticsearch. So this will be of type iSeller gig equal to await. Now what is the method that we need? If we go to Elasticsearch, the method we need is this get indexed data function. Okay, and then we pass in, I can hard code the index and then pass in the gig ID. Okay, and here we return gig. Okay, or if you don't want to do this, you can just return. Okay, this is still fine, it's still the same, but for me, I think I really usually prefer doing it this way. Okay, so I prefer it this way. And let me fix the quotes. Okay, and here export, I'm going to export this method. Okay, so that is the first method, get gig by ID. And now what about us getting seller gigs? Okay, so we want to get, for example, this seller could have multiple gigs. We want to use the seller ID to get all the gigs for that particular seller. And then how do we do that? Okay, for that, we don't really have the method we want to use because we will need to implement the search feature. So for now, I will just create the function without adding anything to it. So get seller gigs. Okay, so async, and then this will be seller ID of type string. Okay, for now, I will just set this method to return void. Okay, for now it will just return void. Okay, so it returns nothing. Maybe I can do a console.log and then seller ID. Let me export this. The reason why we are not adding anything here is because the method we need, okay, Elasticsearch does not have a method that you can use to get documents from your from the source. Okay, so there is no method that we can use to just go in and get by seller ID or get by username. No, we always have to get it by the ID. Okay, because the ID was what was used to index the document. But the way we are going to implement this is we are going to search, we are going to use the search operation. Okay, so we are going to use the search operation. Okay, and then we are going to search for all documents where the seller ID matches whatever ID we pass in. Okay, so I can duplicate this code here. So let me duplicate it, and then here in the query string field, I will just set only seller ID. So I'll set seller ID. Okay, and then for the query itself, let me use this. Right now you can see we have 30 documents. Let me use the ID. Okay, and then select, and now you can see it says it returned 3 documents. Okay, you can see we have 3 documents. So this is how we are going to fetch the all gigs for a particular seller by the seller ID. We are going to search for it. Okay, so all documents that matches the ID, the query ID we are passing. Okay, that is what we are going to use. Let me remove this and see what's going to happen. First, get this and then run this command. Okay, so it still return the 3 documents. Okay, now I have not added the function. I don't want to add the function that we need here. We create a separate search service file, and then we are going to add this function and then use it here. Okay, so for now I'll just set this as console.log. I just thought about something. Probably we can add it right now because it's not going to be complex. It's just something like this. Okay, we already have such queries, so I'll create search.service.ts. I'm really sorry about that because I just thought about it. It doesn't make sense to wait until we get to the search feature. We can just add it here. Okay, just add the methods that we need. Okay, so what we need, if we go to our auth service, so go to auth services search. Okay, so we already have a function that we are using to search. We are going to use this function, okay, but we will remove what we don't need. Okay, so you can copy this function from here, from your auth service. Okay, we are going to make changes from it. So this gigs search, so copy it and then go to your search service in the gig service file, and then we don't need all of this. We only need the query. Okay, so I can move this right here. I'll call this method gigs search by seller ID, and for this let's start importing what we need. I don't need paginate. We can import the query list. I don't need this. I don't need this. Okay, and for this we don't need, I don't need this one as well. I don't need the sort. I don't need to sort it. I don't need the size as well. Okay, and we can import this. We can also import the types, and we import this one as well. Okay, so here the changes we are going to make to the fields is simple. Remember what we did here. We only want to search in the sellers field. Okay, so we only want to search in the sellers field, so we can remove all of this. Okay, and then we pass the sellers field right here. Okay, so we only want to search or return the gigs that matches the seller ID. Okay, and then that are also active. So if they are not active, we don't want to return them. Okay, so if they are not active, we don't want to return them. We can create another method, okay, and then pass probably a type right here, or we can reuse this function to get the inactive gigs for a particular seller. Okay, probably let's do that. Or the easiest way would just be you set a type, will be of type string, okay, or rather it's going to be a boolean. Okay, so I will call this, or I'll call this active. Okay, and then set it right here. So if it is true, it will return all the active gigs for a particular user by the seller ID. If it is false, it will return all the gigs that are not active for a particular seller. Okay, so now we have, this is just all we need. It's similar to what we have right here. Okay, so this is just all we need here, and then we can go ahead and use it. I think we've already created it, so why not use it? To use it is very simple. I'll create a results hits. Remember right here we are returning an object with the total. Let me see, I don't think we can leave the total. Okay, so I'll say result hits of type iSeller gig is going to be an empty array. Okay, remember that the document we need is in the source. Okay, so we need to loop through the hits array, and then every source key, every source property, we add it into this array. And then here, let me get the gigs. So this is going to be await gigs search by seller ID, and then I'll pass the seller ID. Okay, all right here. Oh, this is supposed to be equal to. Okay, so I didn't plan to create this search service. Okay, So I just thought about, my plan was to create it in a later video, but I just figured why not just do it right now. Okay, so instead of just waiting, so this is going to be @gig/services. Okay, so I just figured why not do it just now. Okay, so, and then this takes in a boolean. I'll pass in true because I wanted to return the active gigs. And now this gigs, it returns an object with the total, which is a number, and the hits. You can see it returns this hits array. Okay, you can see it right here. It returns the hits array, but what we need is not the actual object. We need a property underscore source that is inside the hits array. So we need to loop through this array. So here, I think we have done it before, but I will do it here again. I'll say for const item of gigs dots. You can see we have the hits array, and then here we say results hit dot push, and then I want to pass in the item dots. You can see we have the source. Okay, pass in the source. I think I'll cast this here as, let me cast this as an array. So this is going to be an array. Okay, and then here we just return result hits. We want to return an array right here. Okay, so this is what we are doing here. So we search for the user document or all documents that matches the seller ID. So it will get all the documents, and then we want to return it only the active ones. Okay, now to get the ones that are not active or the ones that are paused, I just need to change this, and I'll call this get seller paused gigs, or you can say get seller inactive gigs. Okay, and then for this method we just change this to false. Okay, that is just all we need to do. We change this to false. It's going to return all the gigs that are not active. Like I said, I really apologize if there was some kind of confusion, because I didn't plan to create this search service. I wanted to create it in a separate video, but I just thought, okay, since it's just easy, we can just copy and paste it right here.